Hey guys, it's Dereka with Dereka's Designs, and we're bringing you another super cute no-sew wreath attachment. This is one of the attachments that we are asked to make all the time because really there's not a lot out there. But if you've ever wanted to put the cutest little sloth into your wreath, here we have Sid the sloth. We had a lot of fun making him, and I feel like you could do so much with him in deco mesh, grapevine, whatever you want to do with him. So grab your glue guns and we'll show you how to make him. All right, guys, we are back. And first thing I wanted to start with here is the pattern that you're going to print out. Now this pattern is available in the Makers University for those of you in the creative coaching group. It is also available on derekasdesigns.com if you are in the Wreath Attachments and More groups. So you can print it out in either place. I wanted to quickly go through a few things here. My printer did not do the best job on this, but a couple of things I want to bring up from the last pattern that we did and just explain a little bit better. I know there is a gap here. This is the margin. It's one of those things that is, unless you set your printer properly, which I really didn't do before I printed this, you're going to have margins here. It's very easy to just clip off this and then line the two pictures up just like that. And then you would tape it. And then what you would do, and the way these patterns work, is this inside line is going to be your foam board. This is the board that we use as our backing for everything. This is foam board. It's got a layer of foam in between two pieces of paper. You can get it at Dollar Tree, Walmart, Hobby Lobby, wherever you want to go. Okay, so you're going to cut a piece of the foam board. As you can see here, I have it outlined on this one. And then you're going to cut out the outside measurement. That is going to be your honey plush felt. And the reason I call it that is because that's what it is called at Hobby Lobby. And that's where I buy it. So it's this color. I guess it's the color of honey. So this is honey plush felt. And this one is vanilla plush felt. So just so if you're looking for it online, or if you're just in the store trying to find it, look for honey or vanilla. It only comes in brown, black, white, honey, and vanilla. So you're kind of limited to those colors, but you can get it in that. So tape this together, cut out the inner circle to make your foam board, and then cut out the outer circle, set it on the piece of honey. I do have this one drawn out as well, just because I was trying to be prepared. Set it on here and outline it right there, okay? So I was just gonna go over the pattern just real quick, just to show you. This is the head, as you can see, around his face, because the vanilla plush felt is going to come up underneath it. You can just disregard, you just throw this away in the center. These are his two little claws. So we have the bigger claw for the back and the smaller one for the front. Now I do it ×2 because it looks better if there's two pieces glued together rather than just one flimsy piece of felt. It tends to have it stands up more. Let's put it that way. So there, this piece of foam board is the actual head. Underneath this, there's actually two pieces of foam board together. You can see them there. It just makes it easier to make it stand up in the wreath where you want it. The left and right markings around the eyes. The brown, I guess we call this the muzzle. The black felt that goes under these eyes. Now these eyes here, you can cut these out and you can use them. Or if you want, you can download these eyes, put them on another piece of paper and print them on glossy photo paper and add resin to them. And you can maybe see well, the lighting is not so great. His eyes have a real gloss to them. There's like a glassy coating. It's the resin. And then he has little bitty teeny tiny eyelashes on there. Try to get up close, but it's not really easy to see. But you can see how glossy it is. See how it's shining in that light? And then I just have a tiny little wisp of just little eyelashes. So those are all things that are optional to add. Now you can just cut these out or draw them and do your own eyes as you want to. No problem there. Let's see. This is the pattern for the vanilla fabric, the vanilla plush felt underneath here. This is the arm, same thing. Cut out the inner one for your foam board. Then you want to cut 2 of the outer lines. And the reason I do that is because I like to put the backing on before I glue it all together. So each piece will have a front side and a back side. So to do that, what you would want to do and make sure you do is don't draw 2 of these unless you're going to draw them separately, facing opposite directions. So you have a left and a right. What I do is I just fold this plush felt in half. That way, when you cut this out, you have a mirror image of each one. You're automatically getting a left and a right. With this one, of course, it doesn't matter. But with the legs here and the arms here, you definitely want a front and a back. You want 2 opposites. So simply fold the fabric. You don't have to. You can lay it all out and draw it out and just cut 1 layer. But you're going to want to cut opposites. So say if this one is facing this way, you want this one to be facing this way. So see what, that way you have all the things. Alrighty. And what else do we have in here? Oh, same thing with the leg. I did put the supply list right here. Very easy. You can get any of this stuff at Hobby Lobby or just any craft store, really. It's just foam board, pipe cleaners. This little vine here, it's just wired vine. You can use, if you guys have some awesome picks or if you have awesome garlands or things you want to use here, then just use it. This is just a simple little wired vine. Got it in the floral section. There's really nothing to it. It just offered just a little bit of a green on there. So also on the supply list, it does say a 15-inch by 1-inch piece of foam board. Now I didn't draw the foam board out, this piece, that would be this strip right here. I didn't draw this out on the patterns because I didn't really feel it was necessary. I mean, this the foam board that you would receive with the kit, and if you purchase the foam board, just drop 15 inches by 1 inch. And then what you would do is cover that with brown felt and then put your vine on there if you choose to. So there is not a drawing on here for a 15-inch by 1-inch strip, but I figured most of you could, figure that one out and draw it out yourself. So it would just require me to do 2 or 3 more pieces of paper, and I just felt like it wasn't really worth extending this out that much further. The eyes and the eyelashes are up to you. Now, if you purchase the kit, it's going to come with these resined eyes and eyelashes already ready to go. All you have to do is cut them out and glue them together. We take the picture of the eyes here, and we print it on photo paper, like a glossy photo paper. And then my daughter puts resin on them that gives them the glossy coating. Totally optional. You can do the eyes how you want. You can use the little Google eyes. You can use whatever you want on him. With a sloth, you have a lot of different options because they just have big round eyes. And then this is the honey plush felt. We already talked about the vanilla plush felt. You just need some regular vanilla colored felt for the hands, brown felt for around the stick and the face, and 2 tiny little pieces of black felt. So if you have leftover vanilla felt from your patriotic puppy, then you don't need to buy anymore because you only need about an 8 by 8 square. A little plastic nose. You guys can get these little noses really anywhere. Just a little plastic nose. That's all it is. It's not the one that has the nostrils and all that. I didn't have any of those, but this one I liked. So Let's see. Oh, and this cording is just black satin trim. It's called rat tail, but you can get it anywhere. It's what you would put those big old beads on when you're a smaller child wants to put beads on a rope. This is usually what they have. They can get it at Walmart, Hobby Lobby, whatever. It's just you can just use yarn if you want to. Just be careful with the fraying ends. I don't like yarn because it frays so much. So, and then a couple of pipe cleaners on the back. I mean, the supply list for this guy is not very big. So we'll set that aside. Set him aside. Now, when you have your things put out, you just use your X-Acto knife and cut them. It's, you know, you're going to wrap it in fabric, so you don't have to worry too much about being totally precise with it. Okay, so now we have our 4 pieces that way, and I'll show you. Let's see. We just want to cut out all of our felt pieces now. And this one, you just need the 1 piece of this color. That's why I said an 8x8 square is more than enough. So if you have leftovers from the patriotic puppy, then this is the same fur. So makes it super easy for you guys. Let's see. This piece here is the one that is going to be for the little branch that he's holding. I'm going to set that aside. These are the 2 black circles. Now, you can cut them individually, but I am going to put 2 pieces together and cut it just to make it easier. This just goes behind the eyes. Sloths have really dark rings around their eyes, and I just felt, even with the brown, I just wanted a little bit of black behind the eye. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle. We're just going to glue the eyes with the eyelashes on there. And I have the eyes and eyelashes in here. See if I can't pull all this stuff out too. Got our pipe cleaners, we got some vine, we got a nose. We have all the goodies that we need. So this is what you would receive if you order the kit that we'll have on our webpage. And here are the cute little eyes. Let me zoom in on this because this is really small. And inside this bag, I don't know if you can see them, but, well, here, we'll put them out on there. See the 2 little eyelashes right there? These are the softest, smallest little eyelashes. They're not big and gaudy. This, you know, Sid is a boy, I think, so I didn't want to get too flashy with him, but I do like to have that little bit of a 3D effect on his eyes. So we're going to cut these eyes out. And I'm cutting through the photo glossy paper that is covered with resin, so it's a little bit thicker. You definitely want to go slowly and try to stay on the line as best as you can. Okay, there's one. And for those who haven't watched my tutorials before, if you hear crazy sounds in the background, we have parrots and they're out there. I think I just heard Evie howling like a wolf. So there's always something going on the other side of that door. They chitter chatter to themselves all the time. So I don't know if you can hear it in here, but it gets to be kind of funny. So. Okay, whoops, we want to start. Okay, so the easiest way that I have found to do this is these eyes, let me get this out of the way. These eyes go this way, like that. So the big white dot up there is what I focus on. That is what I use to judge if they're even, and that's where I will start. Right up there at the top of the brown is where I'm going to start the eyelashes. So I'm just going to I put a tiny bit of hot glue back there, I'm going to hold the eyelash on there. And now that I have it started, you still can't see it over that. Now that I have the eyelash started, I'm going to put just a very light bit of hot glue, and then I'm going to round the eyelash all the way around. Guys, it doesn't have to be perfect, because honestly, you're going to glue this down on top of the black felt. So you really cannot see it. I don't know. You barely see the eyelashes. They're just really small and wispy. They're not big and cute and, you know, like girly looking. These are more masculine, I guess. So you kind of want to start in the same place on this one. Put a little bit of hot glue. I have the lashes, well, they're curling obviously the wrong way, because we want them to curl upwards and not curl down into the fabric. So they're curling upwards this way, and just so they stick out a little better. So, I mean, if you were putting on false eyelashes, you would obviously face these the opposite direction. But for a project like this, we're going to face it so that the lashes are coming forward. I need a tiny bit more glue on there. Okay, so there, we have our lashes. And we're just going to use this little piece of foam because it's working. And I'm going to lightly grab it. Put some hot glue on the back of this eye. Don't need a lot. And we're going to glue it as best we can to the center of this black circle. Now, if it's a little crooked, you can always trim it. I mean, it's really not that huge of an issue. Ooh, we have glue strings pulling things everywhere. Okay, so now we have an eye with the lashes glued onto the black felt and a bunch of glue strings. I have glue strings everywhere, Lord. Okay, so we'll do the same with this one. Just lightly grab it. Put a little bit of glue. Don't want a ton, because you don't want to eke it out over the edges. And then just, I like to drop it onto the black fabric before the glue has a chance to set. And then I can slide it up if I need to, move it around just a little bit. Just take your time with it. You don't have to rush, and kind of get the eye exactly where you want it. There. So now we have the two eyes on the black dots. These are the little masks that go around the eyes. We're going to cut these out. We need a left and a right. So by cutting two of the, well, these are one-sided, so it really doesn't matter. But I mean, you can use these either direction. The only place you have to be careful with cutting it a left and a right, or a front and a back, is with the fur, because it only has one side. Just think of a one-sided ribbon versus a, you know, two-sided ribbon. It's just easier with a two-sided one. Okay. So I like to get all of my little things done before I start assembling. So I'm going to make the little face. That's what I do first. So we want to put these approximately, just find an angle that works for you, that's sloth-like. They do have, it does tend to go down just a little bit like that. They have a very, glue strings, sorry. They have a very soft looking eye. They're kind of, not a droopy eye, but just soft looking, like that. And step back and just make sure it looks even, like that. I think that's good. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold it down with my fingers, and then I'm just going to lift up half of it. That way it doesn't move. I'm holding it down with my fingers, using my other two just to lift it up. A little bit of glue back there. That way when it falls, it's falling in the exact place that I put it. And I'm not having to struggle. I'm struggling with glue strings. Sorry, they're everywhere. They are the thing that causes me the most issues. Okay, so then this is already glued. So there, so that's fairly even when you look back. I mean, they're pretty much right in the center there, and they make the nice little droop down. So then I will take an eye. I will put glue on the back of one, and I will just set it make sure, just kind of right in the center, kind of close to the middle here. And we'll take the other one. Like I said, don't use a ton of hot glue. I mean, felt sticks together very well. Now on this one, I'm going to eyeball it. I'm looking at this very top white dot. That's what's catching my eye on these. I'm just going to make sure that white dot is even across. Okay, and you can kind of see, looking at that, those white dots look pretty even. There we go. So that was the eyes, which is the cutest little thing. Didn't take too long. This is the little snout. Now these noses that I have did have a safety tab thing in the, you could poke it through the fabric and put the little lock washer thing on, but I just cut that off. I don't feel like it's necessary. So you don't have to poke it through the fabric. That's just making things a little harder on you. So you have the little snout here. You want to put the nose up towards the top of the triangle. Now, again, I feel like I should have a white backboard because none of this, you guys have a hard time seeing it, but you can see it on there. I just stuck the nose. I mean, you don't want it all the way at the top. There's just a tiniest bit of felt on either side of the nose. So the nose is just kind of fitting right in the middle there. Then you're going to take a piece of the satin rope or rat tail, whatever you want to call it. I do about 1 inch. Now, sloths don't have big mouths. They don't have a huge smile. They kind of have a little bit of a humdrum look, right? They're like the Eeyores of the animal world. So I just do about 1 inch. Does it need to be big? I mean, think about the way a sloth's mouth looks. And I'm just going to put a line of glue. I'm going to set this on there and just wrap it around so it follows the line of glue here. So there. You can put glue directly onto this if you feel like it, but you're going to get it on your fingers. You're going to get it. It's just going to be, for me, it's easier to put the glue directly on the felt and then make the rope match it, follow it. Okay, so now we have our little mouth and nose, guys. Super easy. Won't take any time at all. Put some glue on the back. And this, now sloths, if you put it down here, it's going to look kind of like a dog. Okay, or I don't know, maybe a raccoon or something. Sloths' noses are kind of right up, almost right between their eyes. Almost. Not completely. It's just kind of lining up with his eyes. There's just enough of this, of the vanilla plush felt peeking through there. So it still defines the snout, but this nose is way up there with the eyes. See that? So when you look at a sloth, their nose is way up there. It's not down. If you put it too low, he does get a dog-like look to him, and you don't want that. Okay, so I'm going to do all these little pieces first before we start really assembling anything. Now, this is what I was talking about with this, with the little claws here. And these claws are probably going to be too big, guys. You'll have to trim them down as you're working with them. But for now, we're going to go ahead and use them as they are. I like to, on this back piece, I'm just going to make some glue squiggles. I mean, nothing, don't have to follow the pattern or anything. I just want these two pieces of felt to be glued together. So when I cut this out, it will be a little bit thicker, and hopefully it will help hold all these little claws together, and they won't look, you know, ravaged or unraveled or anything. So then we just cut inside these huge black lines. I did the black Sharpie just so you guys could see it, but I would not recommend using a black Sharpie on felt because it bleeds and it gets very wide and it gets very, I don't know, it's hard to get it off of your project. So see how that, now two of these are just a little bit longer. I cut those down. So now I just use my fingernail and I just make sure the tips of those are glued together. This one on the end here is coming apart just a smidge. So I want them to stay together so that they don't look, like I said, like they're unraveling or disheveled in any way. So there's the one. And we will have to trim this. This is incredibly long. So, but don't trim it yet until you've made your, the arms and things. When we put it in the arms, that's when we can decide how long we want it. So again, we're just going to snip these off. Okay, anywhere that there is black felt, in fact, I don't like these to be sharp, so I'm just going to trim them down just a little bit. And then I'm going to use my fingernail. And the tip of that one could just use a tiny dot of glue. You don't need a lot. In fact, I didn't even squeeze the glue gun. I just kind of put a dot that is basically at the very edge of my glue gun. So I don't want a bunch of glue strings, and that one is fine. So see how that one looks? Okay, we have those ready. What else can we do? Okay, so that's pretty much it. Now we'll do our arms, and I will show you how to do those. First, we have to cut that honey fabric. And again, the name honey is what it is called in case you wanted to order it or something. This is called honey plush felt. So, and also, I know we wrote top on our legs and on our arms, but we may want to also write top on our body so we know it's facing the right direction. So, oops, the arm would come this way and then the leg would come this way. And if you put it together like this, then you'll know if you accidentally have an arm that way, it doesn't look so good. Or the leg going off that way, not so good. So put it all together like this. And now if you want it to fit in your wreath the opposite direction, you can absolutely flip this over and actually do both pieces this way. But you have to think about that beforehand. I'm just going to show you this way because it's the way that I've done it so far. All right, so let's do the leg. So we know this is our top. So we know we want the fuzzy, furry side on the top like that. And this is going to be our underside. So if you sandwiched them together with the foam in between, it's going to look like that. Of course, we're only going to put the top on right now. We're going to center the top. Leave about 1/4 of an inch at the top because we're going to fold a little bit of that over. So let's see if I can get my glue gun over here. I brought out the big glue gun because you do use quite a bit of glue putting this together. I always start at the curves or at the bottom. Just wrapping it around. And there's always going to be these little foo-foo things from where you cut the fur, so just pick them off, or you can use a lint roller. Get them out of there. Go up around the curve there. Just keep grabbing little bit by little bit and bring it over so that it's nice and smooth on the front. You don't have any anything bulging out, so you have a nice smooth edge here. Another glue. I go up to about right past that curve. And I'm going to stop for a minute. I'm going to let this cool off. I'm not going to finish gluing this yet, so just let this cool for a minute. I'm going to do the same thing to the arm. Again, you want the top with the fuzzy side up here. So take it and flip it over. And start at the bottom. Don't need a ton of glue. Don't burn yourself. This felt sticks to this foam board very easily. You don't have to go too crazy. You can always add a little more glue after it's cooled off, and rather than glop it on here and then possibly burn yourself. Nobody likes a hot glue burn. So just keep pulling it over, both sides over. Okay, about 3/4 of the way again. And then I just, that way I make sure I have a nice round edge on it. Okay, so now we'll grab this one. And we're going to do a little bit of stuffing here. Doesn't need to be like super stuffed, but you definitely want, okay, I need a dowel or something. There's one. I'm not going to be able to get my fingers all the way in there. And you're just going to stuff into here, up to where you have it glued. And then you finish gluing just the sides, not the top. And I just do that because it's easier to get the hot glue in, or the polyfill in there. If you can glue the whole thing, but it just makes it a little harder to get the polyfill all the way in the end. We're gonna let that cool for a second. I'll put some polyfill in here. You could probably just use your fingers on this one, but I'll use the stick anyway. Make sure I get it in there. A little bit more. Okay. So we have that part stuffed, and then we're just going to glue these sides. Not the end, remember. We got to put the little claw in there still. Oops. Okay. So the little foofies do tend to drive me crazy. So, like I said, a lint roller works great. If you just lint rolled this before you did anything else, then it will pull off all those little, it's just the fuzz where you cut it. No big deal. But it's like glue strings. It's just an, oops, let's let that one cool. And we'll finish stuffing this one now. We're not going to stuff this all the way to the end. We're going to, let's go up till about, I don't know, inch and a half. And then we won't glue anymore, or won't stuff anymore, excuse me. Okay, so we'll stop on that one. Same thing with this one. You're not gonna, don't put the polyfill all the way to the end, because we need to get the claw in there, and we need to, you know, have it stick. And hot glue will not stick to polyfill whatsoever, so you don't want the polyfill in the way of your little claw and a little paw in there. Claws, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so I've got to about there and to about there, where there's no polyfill on this end. Okay, so now find your little claws, and I had a feeling these would be too long, but that's okay. Just give them a little snip if yours are too long. I made one earlier today, that's why I know they're a bit too long. So you can try it without cutting it, and then if you prefer, like me, putting it in here, I like just a little bit of the claw sticking out. I don't want it to be like way out here, because that seems a little long to me. So I'm pushing it. That's why the polyfill is back in there. I'm pushing it in there pretty good. So that's about all that's gonna peek out. And then I will grab my smaller glue gun. I'll put some hot glue up underneath it, underneath the claw. And then I will put a line of hot glue on the top, and then I can just hold this down. And there, it just, you know, it's a very simple, basic way to do that little paw. Okay, so this one did get a little bit longer than I wanted. Well, you know, let's go with it. I don't want to cut it yet. Let's see what happens if I put this in here. So see, it's a little bit too much. So there. See how I have those sticking out just a little, you know, maybe a ½ inch of palm, I guess, and then the little claws. I don't know what else to call it. So we'll put some glue between the claw and the foam board, and then we'll put a line of glue on the top part where I can hold this down. All right, so there are those. Now what we're going to do is very easily put the backing on, and you know, the backing is very easy. You don't need a lot. I'm just literally going around all of this fur. Maybe a little couple squiggles in the middle. Not doing the whole thing yet. We'll just do a little bit at a time. It's going to be way too big. We got to trim it off. That's one of the tips I always give my coaching group, my attachment group. Always cut it just a little bit big because it's so much easier to trim it off. But if it's too small, then you're stuck with a project that you may have to start over. So always give yourself just that little bit of extra. Oops. What did I do? Oh, there it is. So patterns are great, and you know, I do make patterns, but if I feel like I want something to be a little bit bigger, then I just go ahead and make it bigger, because I've had to start over on too many projects. So, you know, that's just a waste of time and a waste of materials. Oops. So we don't want to do that. So now, and the reason I do this, you don't have to. I just like the way it gives a nice finished look back here. Otherwise, the white foam board would be sticking through here, and it would probably be sticking through here. And they just, I like it. There's really, you don't have to do this. It doesn't enhance the front of the sloth whatsoever. But, you know, it's purely aesthetic. And since we do make attachments and sell them, and we have been for years now, I'm in that mindset where I kind of like the back to look as pretty as the front. It's just a personal thing for me. But you do not have to do this step where you put it on the back if you know it's going to be hidden in a wreath. It's just me though, like I said. Now back here, I try to leave about 1/4 of an inch like that. See how it's, and honestly, that's just because I want to, again, aesthetic. I want to close this up. I want to put some glue on there and cover the end of that foam board right there. And I just got glue all over my fingers again. See on this one? See how you can see that foam board sticking through? I just put a line of that glue on there, and then I just kind of fold it up. Again, nobody's going to see this. It's purely aesthetic. It's just something I like to do. But for me, it gives a nice finished off of the back of his little paw too. Okay, so there we have that. And then, let's see, the next piece we can do is the face. Now, get all my little glue. Get all the foo-foos off of there so I can kind of see what we're working with. Yeah, this element roller would be ideal for this. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, so one thing that's important whenever you're piecing pieces together is use your backboard. You want this thing to be straight. You want these eyes, that white line is hitting this line on each side. It's going right down the center on this line. So I know that my face right now is straight. So when I put this on, I want this to be straight as well. And you want to set it, kind of just push it down a little bit. And what I do is I just kind of feel it. I can feel we've got about 1/2 an inch right there. And we have barely any up there, so I need to pull it down this way. And you just want to use your fingers and feel it, that there should be about 1/4 of an inch covering the vanilla plush felt under there. And once you get it kind of right where you want it, I feel like it should come down just a little bit more still. Make sure his little, I don't know what that is. The little shape of his head, you know, is right over his nose. It's a little crooked though, huh? Hold one side, not the other. And just keep looking at it until you get it right. And then what I like to do is put a little bit of glue on this top one right there, kind of hold it. And then I will grab part of the bottom. And I'm just going to put a line of glue right on the edge of that fur and drop this down. You can always add a little more, but for right now, you're just wanting to kind of tack it into place. So we're going to just go right on the edge there. I need another glue stick. I have this. Not prepared. Okay, then we'll finish up by doing the same thing all the way around. I have to show you my cord for my glue gun only goes so far, so I have to do this right here. I can't flip it around. We're going to go all the way around. I'm basically right on the edge of the vanilla plush felt there. And we're just going to hold it down, and you don't want any glue seeping through the front, so you want to make sure you don't put too much glue on it. You don't want to see glue bubbles coming, you know, around these edges. Okie dokie. So there's his cute little face. And we're going to put his face on the little oval. Just kind of center his little head here. Oops, let's do the other glue gun since that one won't reach. We're going to start at the top up here. Just going to pull it around. Down the sides, but now at the bottom you want to leave it open so that you can put some polyfill in and glue it afterwards. Just leave a big enough gap that you can get your fingers through there. Pulling it all the way around. Like that. You can see the little face is kind of cute coming through. Grab your polyfill again. Oops. Lightly stuff it in. These wooden dowels work great. You can of course use whatever you have on hand. Back of a wooden spoon or a wooden spoon handle, or this is just an inexpensive wooden dowel that I had gotten. I believe I got it at Walmart, but you know, everywhere sells a wooden dowel. I have them in different sizes depending on where I need to stuff. I've got a 1/8 of an inch one that gets into all the little nooks and crannies. This one is a 1/4 of an inch. It is kind of just basic, and then I do have about a 1/2 an inch. It's a really thick one. I don't have much opportunity to use that. Typically, I use that around Christmas time when I'm making the big Christmas stockings. And the reason I use the dowels is because of the flat end. The flat end will push the polyfill. If you use something that is narrow tipped, like say a chopstick or something, it goes right through. It doesn't actually push it. So you need something with a blunt end on it in order to push the polyfill into your item. Okay, so just kind of move the dowel around and just make sure you kind of got on the sides, on the bottom. Don't want it too thick. Don't overstuff this, because you can distort the face and the face could be crooked, and just don't overstuff it. You just really want a nice even layer. There's some glue back there, and then just grab it and just walk around one little piece at a time, and then grab them and hold them. And you flip it over. And I mean, it's pretty centered. Like, may not be perfect, but as long as you put your circle, the foam board, basically right in the center, then you have this nice little centered face. Okay, so we have a face, we have arms. We will now work on the body. Now, first thing we want to do, of course, is add our pipe cleaners. And it's under my pile of mess over here. Here's my pencil. And this is just like on this finished one. It just makes it easier if you add something beforehand than to try to add it afterwards. So to me, depending on what how you're gonna, I would put this guy at an angle like this in a wreath. I don't necessarily think I would, you can put him just completely horizontal like this, straight across. But I kind of like him going up like that. So, I mean, just whatever, and then you put your pipe cleaners in how you think you want to attach it. So because I like to go at an angle, my pipe cleaners are going to go at a little bit of an angle here. Like that. Doesn't really matter. You're going to have to add more pipe cleaners to it anyway, I'm sure. Unless you're using the super long pipe cleaners that Deco Exchange has. Which even then, I don't know if you would need another one. So I like to just put some glue around the pipe cleaner like that. Let that cool. I don't know if it really helps to keep it from pulling through. I like to think it does. But I just like to hope it makes it just a little bit stronger, you know. Okay, so while that is cooling, now we have our body pieces, you know, mirror image here. Let's move over here and have some more room. All right, so obviously this one matches. It's going to go on the top here, like that. Again, we are going to glue this all the way around. When we have tight corners like this, put in a little snip like that to make it easier. Now, this body piece, I did not stuff. It just looked awkward, and it was very difficult to get the arm and leg glued to the top of it. So really, you're just pulling this straight and you're not going to worry about stuffing it, okay? Or it's just going to be flat. Now, if you wanted to, yeah, I guess you could. It would probably be a good idea, oops, to put some glue on this, just to hold it in place, to make sure that it doesn't slide around. You don't need a lot, just like that. As you can see in him, his body was not stuffed. The plush fur gives him a good feeling, but the stuffed arms and legs just give him more dimension in the head. But the body didn't need to be stuffed. I didn't feel like. And like I said, it was very difficult to get the arms and the leg on there because there was too much stuffing and it was really hard and it wasn't sticking and they stuck up too far and it's just difficult. So just didn't like the way it looked. Okay, so now we'll go around here. You'll probably find your plush felt is a little big. Sometimes when I'm working on these patterns, I don't know, they kind of run away with themselves here. So if you feel like it's a little too big and you're not liking how, you can always go back and do a really quick trim of it. You don't have to, but if it's got lots of lumps and bumps like this one did, it doesn't take much to just trim it off and make it not so lumpy on the, especially where the curves are. The curves are where all the lumps, see, like right here, there's no lumps because it's very smooth, but around here, there were bunches of bumps. So, okay, so get all that out of the way. Now we're going to take our back piece and we have to pull these pipe cleaners through it. So the easiest way for me to do that, place it on there. And what I do is I feel it. I can feel the end of this pipe cleaner is right there, cutting a hole. The end of that one right there, cutting a hole. And then when you flip it over, you can easily see the holes you just created. Well, I say easily, but maybe it's not that easy. Oops. That. And you pull it through. And that way your fabric lays down right exactly where you wanted it to. So we'll do the other one. I push them away from me because it's just easier for me. Make sure the fabric is covering the whole project. Use my fingers. There's the end of one pipe cleaner. There's the end of the other. I just kind of give it just a little snip. I just kind of pinch it and snip it. Really, you don't need a huge hole, but if you can't see it, you can make a bigger hole. And obviously you can use a pen and mark it and do all that, but I don't really feel that's necessary. So you want your pipe cleaners out of the way. So we always want to, actually, you know, I'm going to take these out of there because we have to glue the middle part. I forgot about that. We need to glue this middle, and so but see how we can see where the holes are? So we're not going to have a problem putting that back on. So we're going to do the middle first. We're going to go all the way to the outside edge of this fur, kind of do a few zigzags, all the way to those pipe cleaners. Just kind of get anywhere. And then we're going to push it down. And we're going to pop these back through here. Let's see. You are in this one. You are in this one. There. So now all we have to do is each of the ends. So we flip this end back. Put some there and just go around the edges. This is the back, guys. So, you know, like I said, this is totally optional. If you don't mind this showing on your back side, then don't worry about putting a back on like this. That you have enough fur that you bought or that you got with the kit, you can make 2 of these if you don't use the back side. Just be sure you don't cut them together because you don't want it to go in the opposite direction. So 100% totally up to you if you want the backing. I didn't do the backing on the patriotic dog. I didn't really feel like many people would use it, but on this video, I really wanted to show you the difference between having the foam showing or having it covered. 100% totally your option. You said, if you're looking at the back of the wreath, you're looking at the wrong side, right? So we just trim off this excess. Okay, since we didn't stuff this or anything, it's super easy. There, so you have the front side and the back side. Now, this little leg, you can put it there. I did not like this little end piece showing. So when I cut it, I made it so that this angle, the angle of this leg matches the angle of this bottom piece. So you can literally glue it right on the edge where they are 100% even. And I like that. I liked the way that looked. So we are going to glue this. Now, unfortunately, there's no real way to mark this. I glue it to about halfway, or, you don't have to glue that much. Grab it by the claw and then just set it on there, just like we talked about, where it's sort of lined up right with the bottom board, just like that. And you may, like here, see I have a little bit of glue ooking out. I went up a little too high with the glue. Not a huge deal because it's the back side, right? So I'll hold that on there. Now, you'll have to put the head on first before you put the arm on, just because if you put the arm a little too high, your head's not gonna line up. So this piece under here is the same size as the head. So depending on what angle, if you want him to be totally horizontal, you can turn his head that way, because sloths, they turn their heads all over the place. But I like mine to be a little bit at an angle. So he's going to sit in a wreath more like this rather than like this. But you can, if you want to, turn his little head more to make him look like that, like he's hanging from the branch. Either way, guys. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take I'm not going to glue the head. I'm going to glue this because it's stationary and it's easier for me to put glue on this. It's the same size as the head, so I just need to put some glue down. And then take your head and put it down right where you want it. You don't have to glue every square inch of this thing. It's not going anywhere. Oops. So you have the head and you have the leg. And now you're going to do the same thing with your arm. Just put some glue, I don't know, halfway, maybe 2/3 of the way up. And now you want to make sure your arm is, make sure it looks, it's not as long as the leg, and you want the hands to sort of be up somewhat similar so they can hang onto the branch together. And look how cute he is. So we'll grab our branch, and again, you could use a dowel if you would prefer to just roll this in a dowel. That's fine. If you want to go out in the yard and get a nice, cute, real tree branch, I mean, heck, you could do just about anything. There's really no rules on this. So, oops, added glue again. Uh-oh. There's a big one. So I am going to put a line of glue here. I'm not going to cut the edges yet until I know what I'm doing with them. I'm going to place this on this line of glue. And then I'm going to do, oops, squiggly. And I'm going to roll this onto the felt. See how I did that? I didn't get my fingers in the glue at all. And then you're going to put another line of glue on this end and roll it again. There, see? And if you want to, if there's edges sticking up, you can go back and put some glue. Now, I'm going to cut these ends off now and just kind of see how, just trim it down however you want it. Let's see. Just to close the ends off. You really don't have to do much here. With, let me show you with this one. With this one, I did use the dowel because I wanted to see the difference. But do you see, I left it rolled up here like this. This felt isn't glued to anything right there. So it just, it has a rolled effect. Just, I don't know. In my mind, oops, it looked more like a tree branch. Probably doesn't matter. Okay, so you have to hold this because if you don't hold it, it won't cool off. Okay, and do the same with the other side. I'm just going to snip it, and then I cut this off just to get rid of the bulk. So it's literally just this end, the outside piece, and then just fold it over like an envelope. Kind of squish it in there so that the other side, you know, is just flat, and you have, oops, a basic tree branch. You don't, guys, just said you don't have to do the ivy and all that. This is that wired, I don't know what you call it. It's wired, so it's easy to put on and it's easy to keep on there. So we'll use it. Okay, so I'm going to put a dab of glue. Oops, I need more glue than that. Holy moly. And I just set it on there. And then, I don't know, just kind of twist it down. Like I said, if you have a neat garland or if you have something that ties in with whatever florals you might use in your wreath, then use that. You don't have to use this stuff, but I did get it in the floral section. I'm pretty sure Walmart had it, and Hobby Lobby. Like Hobby Lobby also has that brown rope stuff, which is wired, the brown floral rope. that you could also put around this if you wanted to do that on the dowel, and it would look a little more tree branchish. It's up to you. And then with this, we just figure out where we want it. And what I'm gonna just move a little bit of the ivy out from under their feet, because I need to be able to glue it. So I don't want to glue it to this ivy. I want to glue it to the actual felt. So I'm going to put glue basically inside this crease along the edge of the arm, and then a little bit on the bottom of the foot. And I just hold it on there. Up there. You can see. So if you did a wreath with him and you did have all the, you know, forest kind of florals and things, he would be super cute. But that is it. He's a super cute pattern, super fun to make. There are not a lot of sloth items available for wreaths. I know there were some signs that sold out like immediately, and that's kind of what made me decide to do a sloth tonight, because there were so many people that wanted that sloth sign, and so many people love hearing about the story about Sid. And even on one of the larger Facebook groups, there were several posts about, have you done a sloth wreath? Do you know where to buy sloth items? And I just thought, well, how fun. I mean, I've never made a sloth before, but now we have. And this is Sid, and he is adorable, and I cannot wait to start seeing him in some of your wreaths. I just picture this whole, you know, rainforest jungle type scene that you guys can do, and it's gonna be pretty amazing. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and you will stick with us, and every month we're gonna make a new one and have some fun with it, and you know, learn how to do something different too to enhance your wreaths. I mean, you can make him probably for under $10. So if you are looking to increase your profits on your projects and your wreaths and things, making your own attachments is a great way to do that. And through the Deco Exchange Creative Coaching Group and the Wreath Attachments and More WHAM group, we are able to show you guys how to increase your profits and still have a little fun doing it. So anyway, guys, you have a fantastic day. I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.